All right, welcome everyone to our school board meeting for Monday, May 9th. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Bertram, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Here.
Ms. Novak?
Here.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Here.
Dr. Urso?
Here.
And I'd like to mention I have our fine intern from Xavier University next to me tonight, AZ Cordero.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Any questions regarding tonight's agenda? If there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
If it clicks to catch up to me here. All right. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Ms. Novak?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes. Tonight we have the privilege, it's nice to see a lot of faces first off, but 4 of you would like to speak to us this evening. And so let me pick a card here. I'll go with Jackie Phillips Carter to lead us off this evening. So Ms. Phillips, you're welcome to address the board. Welcome tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm coming before you again tonight, and this time I'm coming to you as a health professional and a longtime Middletonian. Most of the data that we are starting to build upon in our community is old data. It's 2016, 2017, 2018. And it's usually old because it takes us a while to catch up and collect the data, right? But if you guys remember that this is all pre-pandemic data. So our state of our city, our county, our state, and our world is changed. This has changed a lot. And so let's just talk really quickly about stress. And I'm not going to depress you all too much tonight. But our families, our community is worried about things I know that we all can understand and relate to. The rise in gas, food, bills, etc., utility bills, etc. And there are recession whispers. Along with that, we have supply chain issues, global uncertainty, war, retaliation from war, cyber attacks, and nuclear threats. Yes, we're training in that now, nuclear threats. Parents are concerned about child development, social life, academic, emotional, and cognitive development. Health in general is on everyone's mind. We still have a virus amongst us, and we're still dealing with that as well. It's always harder when you have this layer on top of vulnerable populations. So everyday life issues now is compounded by the aftermath of this pandemic. Unprecedented levels of stress equal change in the ability for us to cope. Examples, for instance, and I can relate to this, weight gain. Weight gain, some weight loss, I haven't experienced that yet. But the weight gain has been happening. They said anywhere, we all heard about that, freshman 15? Well, this is 26 or more pounds during our whole pandemic, COVID. And there's a lot of reasons for that, because food is very comforting. And you also know that weight gain leads to obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, etc. And with kids, bullying, and the different type things that we have to go through with the kids. Drinking issues, cirrhosis, violence, OBIs, fetal alcohol syndrome, etc. So those are 2 things that we continue to see in our health world increasing. So with that, we have strained or ending of relationships. Again, we're speaking to the choir with all of you and the people that are on TV or listening, because our relationships have changed. We didn't see a lot of people during this pandemic, and when we did see them, we had differences of opinions. We lost relationships. They were strained. We didn't go to certain gatherings. We didn't go to weddings. Some people are mad at us still because we didn't go to their party, etc. And we also know that decades of research shows that healthy and supportive relationships are key to promoting resilience in each other and to help increase our mental health. So living through these historic times and these historic threats are going to be a lasting effect on our community. And it's going to be for generations and generations to come. So particularly during these periods, I want to say this loud and clear. While we see these prolonged stressors, it's important that we, the school board, our community, families, residents, all of us, we facilitate in all of the opportunities for social connection and support. So I'm here now again telling you that I have passed out some the social vulnerability index, and you can find them, I have them, I can pass them out. So these are just basic indicators of how healthy our community can be. And we are lacking in a lot of those indexes. They're very high in most of the areas of Middletown, but especially high where we have our schools, Rosa Parks, Mayfield, Amanda, and in that same area, we have communities on the area. It's also the same area where we have industrial activity. It's also in the same area where downtown exists, right here. So when we have these indexes, we need to really make sure that our community is surrounding these communities that need help to lift them up. Do any interventions, any activities, any programming, it needs to be saturated in an area of Middletown which can help us bring our community up. I'm happy to say that Robert Sunny Hill is located in this community. Sadly true. However, one of the indicators is lack of vehicles and transportation. So in this community, people could walk and have access to a lot of different interventions and programming and activities that can help our community be healthy. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time and your support as a school board member. I appreciate you all. And if you need any of this information, I can give you all the reference to the data. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome Christy Durich to speak to the board. Welcome, Christy.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Christy Durich, and I live at 6734 Cloister Cliffs in Middletown. I have worked and or lived in Middletown for about 30 years. I am representing the Safety Council this evening of Southwestern Ohio. And I'm here to show support for investing in our youth that need it the most. The Safety Council is working with Jackie and the Health Department. We're applying for this grant, which is an Ohio Health Improvement Zones pilot project. This project is based on the Social Vulnerability Index based on census tracts. The grant is our opportunity to bring all our community partners and all our community resources to focus on the census tracts that show the most vulnerability when it comes to health. The data we have gathered is revealing, and she gave you a copy there. In the census tracts that we're looking at right now, it's 130, 131, and 132, and those are in the area of the community center, Rosa Parks. The life expectancy for those living in these tracts is 10 years less than that of the life expectancy for Butler County on average. Within these tracts, there's over 40% poverty rate, yet less than 5% are unemployed. Over 20% are on disability and 15% are single parents. 30% of the population in these areas are 17 years of age or under. The numbers are doubled, even tripled in the more affluent areas of Middletown. Pride data is another resource in a protective factor for our youth in doing any kind of risky behaviors is being involved in their church, their community, or their schools. And it's over, in some grade levels, it's over 50% that do not participate in church, that do not participate in the school activities, and do not participate in community activities. And this is a protective factor. We want that number. We want 100% of our kids involved. It gives them opportunities for connection with other youth. It gives them opportunities for connection with other caring adults and with their peers. So it's really important. So if you look at these numbers, it just makes sense to invest in the areas where the youth population is dense and the need is great. It makes sense to invest in our existing community center where single parents are working yet remain below poverty, are struggling, and often don't have transportation. It makes sense to build upon the CVI and community center location where there's plenty of land, it's easy to get to, and it has managed to be sustained and highly utilized for decades. A healthy population is our #1 resource in our nation, in our state, and in our community here in Middletown. So I'm asking you to make the decision to invest in our most vulnerable families in Middletown. When we invest in our most vulnerable population, it helps to raise them up. And when we, as a community, help raise our most vulnerable population up, we, as a community, win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Scotty Robertson.
Thank you. I arise today to address the board as a representative from the Middletown Area Ministerial Alliance, pastor at First Baptist Church here in Middletown myself. Also in support of the expansion at the Sunny Hill Center. I received an email this week that really alarmed me. Some numbers of math and English language arts proficiency here in the district. If you look at the numbers, and I hope, and I'm sure that all of you who are on the board know this, maybe the general public does not, but if you look at within the district, I mean, not even talking about the deficiencies from the rest of the state of Ohio, but just in the district. If you look at Miller Ridge math and English language art proficiency numbers, Miller Ridge has a 69% for math and a 67% for English language arts. If you look at Amanda and if you look at Rosa Parks, for example, Rosa has a 31% math proficiency and a 31% English language arts proficiency, which, by the way, when it concerns to math, interestingly enough, matches the high school numbers. Now, I hope that causes us to ask some questions. Why is that? I would submit to you it's not because of our teachers and it's not because of our students. I have been privileged to live in Middletown for the past 5 years now, and I have found the best teachers and the best students of any place that I've ever been. The problem is not the students, certainly, because each of the students, whether they be at Miller Ridge or at Rosa Parks or at Amanda, but they all equally have the image of God stamped on them, and they also all have the same potential. These problems are systemic. These problems come from a history of withheld resources, planned or not gentrification, and really issues of separating both in lines of race and class and other outside markers as well. And so that is exactly why I think it is time for the school board to say that enough is enough, and we are not going to allow our students to suffer because of their zip code. It's unjust, it's immoral, and it's just plain wrong. And so, just briefly, some reasons why I think that investing in Sunny Hill will absolutely help. It won't be a solution. There's a lot more work that we need to do, but it will be a step in the right direction. For example, if you look at Sunny Hill as it stands, CBI, Community Building Institute, is in the community center. They contract with the city and with the school board and with many programs. That is already their home base, and so there is already a rationale there for expansion in the community center. There's plenty of land around the community center that it can be expanded on, and as Jackie and Christy both said, with transportation being such an issue, it just makes sense to create a space where the students and their families can walk and not have to worry about the transportation barrier. Jackie talked about the census tracts and how that, from a health perspective, it makes sense to put more resources into Sunny Hill. And then if you look at, from an economic standpoint, if you just look at its location there off of Route 4, which is the main artery through Butler County and through the city. It just makes sense. And finally, I would say, when you look at investment in the school district, and when you look at where it is most lacking and where it is most needed, I say thank you for the most recent expansion at Rosa Parks, but this would just be another step in the right direction. The youth center, preschool classrooms, culinary kitchen for workforce development, and then more multi-purpose room for the community. And so at the end of the day, I think as you have been, if you look at the numbers, the money that you have available from the state, from COVID relief, if you look at the numbers, it makes sense. If you look at it from a justice issue and trying to make right that which has been wrong for so long, it makes sense. And just from a location standpoint, it just makes sense. Very few times can we look at a project and say, this is a win for everybody. This is a win for everybody. So I encourage you to continue to support and to, when you do take the vote, to vote yes, and let's work for this expansion.
Appreciate your passionate words. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson.
I'd like to welcome, is it Delia? Delia, okay, Miss Adams. Mr. Stiles said Miss Adams to speak to the board tonight. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Delia Adams, and I'm one of the many boomers who has returned to my roots here in Middletown after completing my career in federal service. So I recently became a homeowner too in the beautiful South Main Street Historic District. And over the last 4 decades, when I have visited home, I was somewhat dismayed at some of the vacant homes around the community. And we all know this is not limited to the South End. So personally, the home I occupy needs many repairs and renovation to restore it to its previous grandeur, much like the Robert Sonny Hill Community Center. The historical importance of the community center, as seen through the vision of George M. Verity, is significant to the history of Middletown's African-American community, as well as its ties to Armco's history. The National Trust for Historic Preservation launched a campaign to preserve and protect many of the African-American buildings and places that relate to our activism, achievement, and resilience. The RSHCC is one of those places. It's significant to Middletown, the state of Ohio, and the country, should not be minimized, and the approval of this project by the board would ensure the use of proper earmarked ARPA dollars. The education statistics of Middletown are less than stellar. I think all 3 of the previous speakers speak to that. And this public information may also deter families and businesses investment in our community. Education improvement is needed. Education achievement impacts business investments and growth in the cities. The work of the center plays a key part in educating our children. The CBI works with city schools to operate much-needed after-school educational and tutoring programs. Additional time spent on education by our students is time well spent. The building is a town focal point. Most recently, the MPD and MFD both hosted students from the Leadership Club and offered them a glimpse into their jobs. This may also provide us with future police and firefighters in the city. I have lived in several major cities and mentored students at junior high, high school, and most recently the MBA program at Sacramento State College. Working with and leading young people outside of the classroom or outside of the home is also key to their development. Finally, I was talking to a friend, and she's in Germany, and she asked me about the haunting story of little James Hutchinson. And I told her, sadly, I do know it well, and I know that city. And sometimes those of us who have not birthed those children do give them hope, and sometimes give them ideas and the vision to see their dreams come to fruition when their parents fail them. I hope the importance of the center leads to a positive vote in the fulfillment of the intent to maintain this historic building that we so much need, and that will also take care of future generations of children like little James. Maybe they be given that support outside their families that helps them realize they are important, that they matter, and they can achieve their true potential. And as Detective W stated following his program, he stated that the kids of Middletown are our future, so anything we can do to help them is a bonus. And I would like to provide a copy of my complete reports for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you to all of our speakers tonight. Really do appreciate the time. I can tell a lot of energy went into that, and so it's appreciated. At this time, we move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second, please?
Second.
Any questions or comments or highlights from tonight's consent agenda? Not very big this evening.
No.
All right, if there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
Mrs. Schreiber,
Yes.
Ms. Novak,
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan,
Yes.
Dr. Urso,
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Just like to take a moment and say congratulations to the next principal, Rosa Parks Elementary, who is working her way all the way around the wall.
It's taken a long way.
She's taken the long way. Again, congratulations to the Board of Education. More importantly, congratulations to the students and families at Rosa Parks Elementary. We are thrilled to be able to sustain the elite level leadership that Rosa Parks has, the deep connections with our families, and I'm proud to introduce our next principal, Rosa Parks Elementary, Ms. Charity Good. Welcome.
Good evening. I would first like to thank the district leadership, the board, the Rosa Parks community, and Tracy Neely for the opportunity the past 3 years to contribute to the story at Rosa Parks Elementary. It has been an amazing journey under the leadership of Tracy, and I feel blessed to have been a part of the reopen and expansion during a pandemic chapter of the Rosa Parks story. Like any good story, there's been adventure, laughter, heartache, somebody mentioned James, celebration, and growth. It's in a color-coded binder labeled with a Flair pen chapter of Tracy Neely's leadership closes at Rosa Parks. I'm confident the entire district will be blessed by the next chapter she will organize and author. I consider it a true honor to have the opportunity to lead into the next chapter of highlighting the amazing students at Rosa Parks Elementary, and hope that the community will partner. Thank you, and please partner with us to author the next amazing chapter for the students and families, of Rosa Parks. Thank you.
We're thrilled to have Ms. Good continue with us. We know what we have, and we appreciate her, and we know the students, the community benefit from her leadership, so thank you. Moving along to finance, we have one contract up for approval. It's a T-Mobile for Education Renewal Agreement. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Michelle. Any discussion needed for the contract? All right.
Can you just give an overview, please?
Yeah.
Yes, 2 years ago, we contracted with T-Mobile to make sure that we could support all of our one-on-one devices out in the community, which was definitely needed, especially during the pandemic. This allows us to go 2 more years. It's just half as many devices as we had previously for the hotspots. Same price as 2 years ago per hotspot.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the funding source, please?
ESSER.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions before a vote? If there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
Ms. Novak,
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan,
Yes.
Dr. Urso,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber.
Yes.
We have a few items under Human Resources this evening. The first item being a read-only. It's a job description. I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Mr. Stiles, to explain this.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this from Mr. Stiles.
Thank you.
Lead system support job description and lead utility crew job description. Both of these are in regards to realizing that we had a lot of utility workers and system support techs that worked together, all under the same salary schedules. So we devised a lead for each of these 2 categories where we're going to agree to pay them a little more per hour on the salary schedule, but it's definitely going to give us some hierarchy amongst the crews that are out there working. It definitely establishes a lot more precedence than who is in charge based on pay and leadership. So these are here for read only and approval at the next board meeting.
Thank you for that. Next item up for approval is a salary schedule for new district positions. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
And again, a point of clarification, Mr. Bertram?
Yep, same point of clarification. These are the two salary schedules, and we added that bottom line item for additional pay on an hourly basis, the same as we've been doing for the custodial staff since we brought them back in-house.
Any questions or comments prior to a vote? There are none to Mr. Bertram.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Ms. Novak?
Yes.
Looks like we have two MOUs for consideration and approval tonight. The first one is a recommended MOU as presented by, it doesn't provide a description within, at the bottom. Understanding to resolve issues related to scheduling and floating hour for meetings. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Stiles?
The board recently came to an agreement, collective bargaining agreement with our Middletown Teachers Association, closing out one last singular item as related to those negotiations. This is in reference to scheduling of our floating hour for K-6 buildings related to TBT meetings.
Any questions regarding this? If there are none, then Mr. Bertram.
Dr. Urso?
Yes?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Ms. Novak?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
The second MOU up for consideration is due to the need of creating a lead utility position. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
You guys are hard to get those tonight. You're making me work over here. Mr. Stiles, or Mr. Bertram, could you provide some clarification again? Pretty sure I know what this is.
I was clicking, what was the description on that?
The lead utility MOU.
Yes, yeah, we had to work with the union on these descriptions and the salary schedule, and it is an agreement with MCEA to be able to do this.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I think we're ready to vote.
All right. Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Schreiber?
Yes.
Ms. Novak?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulligan?
Yes.
Dr. Urso?
Yes. Under curriculum, there are a variety of first reads. The first is Wayside Publishing, digital access and class set of 2 textbooks for French in the high school. Mr. Stiles?
Just give the boards a quick update in our community as well. You'll see a number of items there. Wayside Publishing, specific to our foreign language department. As you know, we went through an audit this past fall with our classroom educators about resource deficiencies, and we've been trying to tackle those little by little. Board did some recent adoptions. This does focus on French and Spanish. And speaking with the educators in those departments, some of the contracts that we had have come to an expiration date. So we've taken advantage of the opportunity to evaluate a couple different resources, and we've taken that collaborative approach with those educators. And these are the resources that we've landed on in collaboration with the classroom teachers. They are available for public viewing out here. You probably saw them on the table as you walked in. Similar process that you heard around ELA and math has been used for this process as well. But this really does focus on not just renewing our resources in foreign language, but also making sure that they're better aligned to some of the new adoptions. First read again.
So for the public record, our our Spanish and French teachers were involved in the process of selecting these books in conjunction with our curriculum department.
Yes, all of our adoption processes do include collaboration with our classroom teachers.
Any questions regarding any of these?
I'm delighted to see that the middle school kids can take Spanish.
All right, we'll look forward to the next meeting and hopefully approval. We tried to work through, I know it's warm in here, I see people fanning. To get to our work session topic for this evening is the Sunny Hill Community Center discussion. I know we have some special guests that'll help start the conversation in regards to the feasibility study. I'll turn it over to our superintendent to start the dialogue.
Mr. Hightower, could I invite you up as well, just as the chair of the committee? Again, just a work session topic for the board. As you know, this is a board-recognized committee for the sake of being able to have conversation, do business. At the last Board of Education meeting, Mr. Hightower gave us a great presentation, an update on the status of the community center project located at Robert Sunny Hill. We left that meeting off as they're getting organized. We left that meeting off with the understanding that we conduct an expedited feasibility study at the current campus and see what the results led us to be able to discover. In collaboration of the subcommittee with the city of Middletown, we did go into a contract with a vendor to expedite that process. So we are excited to have them here with us tonight. The feasibility study's been completed by Branch Stetter Carroll Incorporated. They're here to give us just an update on what the feasibility study was able to discover. I think the board does have a copy of the document that looks like this. I'm not sure if Ms. Novak has that also.
Yeah, I forwarded on. I emailed it to her.
Okay. Ms. Novak will be in that packet with the different options from the feasibility study. Again, this is just information for the board in regards to the feasibility study, a good transparent process for our community members who are here with us tonight physically, but also tuning in virtually. I just want to turn it over to Mr. Hightower, who's the committee chair, to kind of walk us through process, where we're at right now, and really dig into the report. Thanks for being here, Mr. Hightower.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Stiles, and thank you to the board. And first, I would just like to say thank you to everyone. I believe we're all here for the same goal, and that's just to do what's best for our students, for our youth, and our community. So thank you to everyone for the community who showed up today in support of this. And it just goes to show you the passion and the history, but most importantly, the need for our students. And I just believe that we're all on the same page and the same goal. The question was, is this a viable project? Is it feasible? And can it work at the Sunny Hill Community Center? So the project team, a subcommittee of our committee, commissioned Brett Stetter to answer just those questions. And with input from the community, the conversations that we've had, the studies that we've done, and just general input of everything that we wanted in there, what is feasible? We're starting off with a baseline of $6.1 million from the city and the schools. There's other sources of funding, with the county giving a thumbs up that says, yes, we're on the list. We don't know what that is yet. So what you'll see here is a range of projects that can be accomplished, within that range, that still meets the priorities of this board of preschools, and allowing that initial investment to multiply into other services. So I'll turn it over to Brett Stetter to walk us through some of those options.
Thank you, Stephen. My name is Ben Brandstetter with Brandstetter Carroll. Phil Schilfarth is here with me as well. We're going to kind of tag team it tonight. Dr. Rosa, Superintendent Stiles, thanks for having us. I've been coming to this building since 2005, working with the city in various capacities. The first time on the 4th floor, so it's nice up here.
It's a penthouse.
Like
Yeah.
And it's great watching kind of the action of the school board and seeing all the things that you guys are doing. So thank you again for having us. We've been working steadfast over the course of the last few weeks, as Stephen mentioned, on answering the question, is it feasible? And if you guys could turn to the first page of your handout, we really went through initially to identify what we had a lot of different input from the school, from the community, from the city about what we wanted to have in this project. And so what you're going to see here tonight is we kind of walk through. You can kind of see kind of how our mind was working as we were working through some of these various options. And I think Stephen did a good job of summarizing it. Is it feasible? And then what can be built at this facility? And this is not an end-all, be-all, the final building program or anything like this. This is really the first step in this overall project of identifying what is right for this building, what is right for the community, and what is right for the school system as well. And really, that's where the community input is going to come in later on down the line. Really, the first option we looked at was a standalone new construction of all the building components that were programmed in there, and all the really the kind of baseline for everything that we looked at was 7 preschool classrooms inside the facility, and then anything else that we could add on as other building programs. And for instance, in option 1, this was a new regulation-sized basketball court, gymnasium, locker rooms, a climbing wall, a weight room, and other associated athletic storage components in there, as long as some lobby space and some office support staff space in there. And you can see that the first option was about $10.3 million. So we took a step back and said, because we were targeting to make sure that we could find something feasible for that 6.1 number. And so we like, well, let's reevaluate that, and let's take some of these scope items out of there. So we looked at, let's take out some of the weight room and the rock climbing walls and some of those other amenities, and we got that down to just over $9 million. Then the next option, we said, well, let's look at what happens if we build new and renovate the existing, because the renovation cost has a lower cost per square foot than the new building, than a new build. We intentionally stayed away from how exactly are those two buildings going to be kind of blended together. That's really the next iteration in a schematic design package. So really today, this is just answering the question of, if we put these scope items in there, how much is that going to cost in total? And so when we pulled that together, renovating some of the existing space and providing all those the big picture programming aspects, that actually went up to about $11.2 million. And so we pulled out, if you turn the page to look at option 4, we removed, that's a renovation and addition option as well, where we were actually renovating the existing gymnasium in the Sunny Hill facility. We call it the 4 studio rooms we looked at in option 3, taking that out, and so we are able to get down to a building program around that $6.7 million new $6.7 million range, and so that does puts us within striking distance, so to speak, of where we need to be. The next option is we looked at some of as we got additional feedback from the school system, we looked at what are some of the other services that need to be provided, and this one adds in a commercial kitchen into the overall building program, and renovating some of the existing the community center space in that building, where that was part of the addition that was done in 1993. Personally, I was in high school. We won't say what Phil was doing in 1993, but that's been around. It's hard to believe it's been 30 years. We were talking about it in the office. It's like, man, it just kind of felt like yesterday when all that work was done. But that's another building program that we can do for about that $7.4 million range. And then looking at the option 6, which is coming in just north of $12 million, that would really provide us the ability to build new facility, a new gymnasium, a new what we consider to be a full indoor basketball court, and renovate most of the existing facility as well. So that would, including that commercial kitchen in that space, and really kind of just take care of a lot of those needs for the overall community. So I know I've kind of breezed through this, but that's kind of the overview of where we've been coming from. This is intentionally providing a lot of different options as the funding pieces kind of come together over time, and because I think what we're talking about tonight with the school board funding is one piece of that. And we've got the city funding and what else could potentially come down the line. So I will stop and just kind of open up for questions. Either myself or Phil or Stephen will do our best to answer those.
Yes, I'm not sure what what next steps are, but I'm going to jump in just to get dialogue started. One of our priorities as a school district was preschool space. As you consider the options that you have here in regards to the feasibility study, one of the board's positions was 5 classrooms for preschool space as part of the $4 million. As you heard in the feasibility study, the idea of 7 classrooms being present in the different options that are being presented.
That was consistent with across all 6 of the options.
Across all 6. So the confidence of our priority around preschool being able to be accomplished within the current allocation, the confidence in the different options is present as part of the feasibility study. Again, complete transparency of those 7 classrooms, 2 of which would be for auxiliary services such as OT, PT. 5 of those would be dedicated classrooms for traditional preschool experiences. An additional priority that we had as part of that $4 million allocation, that priority being around youth programs and youth space. So the idea in the feasibility study of dual usage, for lack of better words, with the additional space does allow us to feel feasibility-wise that we'd be able to accomplish our 2 different priorities that we had allocated. Would that be accurate based on what we're seeing inside the packet with the different options? Okay. In dialogue for the board, as you think about our priorities and the confidence in the feasibility study in regards to the options of new space or addition/renovated space?
And I can start. First off, thank you. We charged their firm to work really quick because we would rather ask the hard questions first before we go down the line 6 months, 12 months down the road, and then ask questions that needed to be answered prior to. And I know ESSER dollars, and this is the difficult piece too, is our calendar is different than the ARPA funds that we have to spend down as a board, as a district, by August of 2024, which seems like a little bit of time until you have to figure out architects and contractors and do all the work to make it happen, where I believe the ARPA funds is stretched out to 2026, and they have a little bit more leeway within that. And so we wouldn't be sitting here with confidence, and that's what as a board I think we're searching for, is confidence that we're being shrewd and smart fiscal agents for our district and our community. And with that, the information that you provide give us the confidence that we can truly invest. The second piece I would like to articulate, and Stephen, you already alluded to this, is that our county commissioners within an article stated, and I watched their meeting, is in full support, all 3 of them, for this project, which is huge. That investment can make our dollars and the city dollars really deliver upon what we initially started months and months ago envisioning to do. And so if they're watching or if they hear this, there's a huge thank you. And you can hear the passion, the people showing up on a beautiful day, not out in their gardens. They're here on the 4th floor, arguing for and passionately speaking towards a project that is dearly needed. And I think all of us here realize it. We know our young people need opportunities. We know our families need opportunities to walk into spaces, nice spaces, and have an opportunity for social, emotional, physical health. And I think these plans give us the opportunity to hopefully see that happen. There's a lot of ifs still out there, and I'm an optimist, but I'm also a pragmatist, and those ifs are powerful things that if they land, they truly can. As I look at the options, the ones that really excite me, of course, are the expensive ones. The ones that really do provide a space to make it a community center, with gym space for young folks and adults to enjoy, weight rooms for our young folks to expend energy in, and to truly have community participate. Having lockers and those kinds of things seem to make sense. And so first off, my takeaways tonight is thank you for showing up. It gives us confidence that there's truly community support. And I'm thrilled about, and I've always been thrilled about the idea of doing something like this. And Stephen, your family and your support and your leadership is greatly appreciated by the board.
If I could just speak to the ifs a little bit more. So $1 million has been requested from the state budget, and our state representative has some degree of confidence in that, and that's also an ARPA. There's a $2 million grant that the partner CBI has started a process to invest in this program, and that we had a call with Ready Cincinnati as a part of making workforce development a part of that. I will refrain from using a name, but a major employer in this area is looking to invest up to $500,000 into this project. And we've had several conversations that lead to the sustainability of this project, because we don't want to walk away and leave us with a $12 million pretty building that we can't keep the lights on. So sustainability has been cornerstone from the very beginning, and the school board's participation is crucial to that, and maintaining that with the preschool and other funds. So I think your support is cornerstone for us to be able to build on that. And without it, I think the house of cards falls.
I too was very impressed by our speakers. Thank you. You know, we're trying to meet needs in this city, and obviously the space for preschool is a need that won't go away, and we treasure those little people. And at the same time, we have a need for wholesome activities for our older students, and we see the possibilities in these options of that happening too. I always think that sometimes the sum is greater than the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and that's what I'm thinking here, that it's an opportunity to take one project, and whichever we want to call the lead project, but to dovetail it with another project. And as a couple of speakers and Chris just said, it makes sense. It just makes sense. So I'm happy to see this expenditure of the school money going to something permanent and something that will also aid the other end of the project there. So it's wonderful, and the work of the committee is amazing. But you have the good sense to have this feasibility study done, so we're not talking about something nebulous. We can see what our money can buy. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Chris, for his leadership and bringing us to this point and asking those tough questions to get.
Yeah, I really appreciate the feasibility study as well. Can you all hear me okay? Just want to make sure the sound's all right.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so I really appreciate the feasibility study. And what that really showed me is, well, first, it helped me to become more excited about the project, because you look at all the different possibilities. But in seeing all those different possibilities as well, you know, it really helps to let us know that this is something that we can do. This is feasible, you know, no matter how we look at it. And of course, I want the $12 million package because, you know, looking at that social vulnerability index, we need it. There are so many different ways that we need support, different ways that we can be creative and bring people together in the community. You know, and we know with COVID how much the isolation really hurt our children. You know, and what we see every day in the schools, what our staff and teachers see every day in the schools. I mean, it really reinforces what that data is saying, that our kids need support, and they've needed it for a long time. They need recreational activities, and we've heard that from the students. You know, when we ask them, you know, what they would recommend for Middletown, recreation, they need activities. And our lack of activities, you know, we've really seen that and how it's played out in the community and schools. You know, there's been more and more conflict and difficulty adjusting. So I think that, you know, this is just such a wonderful opportunity, and it's really aligned with our strategic equity plan to engage with the community more and to build partnerships with parents and families. It's not unprecedented, you know, because if you look at the work that the district has done over the years, we've invested in a health clinic for our students and for our families. We've invested in a food truck for our students and our families. We've invested in hot spots, you know, so we know that we have a vulnerable student population, and we go beyond the walls of the school into the city to support our families and to support our students. And I see this as one more way that we can do that. And it's so exciting to see, you know, all of the support that's coming from our business community, our nonprofit community, the different local government entities, and even, you know, outside of that, state of Ohio. And I think we can get support beyond that. So I think this is the right time to do something like this. We did say clearly that with our ESSER dollars, we want to invest in something that's going to have a long-term impact. And this is just, the time is right, and this is the right project for it.
I agree. I'm like Michelle, I would love to do the 12 million. I wish I had 6 million to give you. I don't, but I wish I did, or could figure out where to get it.
We'll take it, Anita, thank you.
In IOU, yeah. Most of my career has been spent as a teacher, and so I see children, and I know children, no matter what kind of family they have, whether you come from a high-income, low-income, middle-income family, children need the community support around them. You know, the poorest among us, some of those kids have the same problems as the wealthiest among us, and we need all the props we can get. And I think the Sunny Hill Center has proven, and you as a support in the community have proven to be one of the strongest advocates we have for children in this town. My impression is you're behind the kids 1,000,000%. And you want to push them up as high as anyone wants to. We have some great kids in this town. Some of them get into horrible situations through no fault of their own. As Michelle said, you know, if they don't have somebody that can be at home with them all the time, and you can't sometimes, we've got to have things for them to do. If mom and dad can't be there to greet them at the end of the day and they have schoolwork to do, we need somebody to help them out. Every kid needs that. Some of us are lucky to be able to do our jobs and be right there when they're there, but everybody can't do that. There are a lot of single moms and single dads around who have a heck of a time trying to balance lots and lots of responsibilities. The chart that Jackie brought us, I see this all the time. It's heartbreaking. I feel it. I feel the pressures of what we've all been through. I don't even know why. I can't even put my finger on one thing. It's just everything. And I think that it just makes me so happy that our city is willing to put, you know, some money into this. We need the little preschool. God love those babies. The ones that come through preschool, they've got a head start on everybody. We need the preschool. But we also need to boost up the bigger kids too. Those teenagers, those middle school kids, God love them. They're something else, and they are just looking for somebody to love them, as many people as they can. And I love what's going on here. I love it. If I can figure out $6 million, I'll let you know. Don't count on it.
Just to speak in regards to the $6 million, I know our county commissioners have big decisions. They have a lot of good projects that are on their desk. And I know they're trying to make investments in communities. And it's a difficult task. I mean, to work through all those different applications. And so I would just speak to them in terms of the potential here. Hopefully they see a community that's rallied behind a project. And that potential in terms of workforce development, whether it be in a kitchen that incubates other opportunities for other folks, or as Anita passionately speaks to children. I think that, and we all would say, it's cliche to say, but children are the greatest investment. That their choices as young people are going to chart their course as young adults and into adulthood. And every indicator, whether it's earning potential, if they make safe choices and stay out of trouble, and chronic health is hinged on their education. And if we can boost them in those 3 and 4-year-old years, because our preschools do that. We have 5-star, the highest ranking preschools are Middletown's preschools, which is a testament to our teachers and Butler County ESC, which we partner with, that we can really do, that investment will yield great results. And so our job now is to create a budget that can capture all these different opportunities. And so, yeah, I mean, it's with excitement that I think as a board, we're thrilled about this project. Mr. Moore, I don't want to leave you out. And so I don't want to make decisions without you. Yeah, you jumped in there, bud.
No, now that we have a feasibility study and we've, I think, gotten a commitment from at least 3 of our entities, the school district, the city, and the county. My question really is more procedurally how we move forward if more dollars come forward. And this might be an ask for Branstad. But assuming that those dollars, right now we do know that we have some money for this project. We have a baseline that we can work around. But let's assume that the county does view this project favorably and more money starts to come forward. Can you talk to us and talk to the community as well how this project then kind of evolves into something bigger than what we may budget today?
Sure.
How does that process follow from there?
I think really the next step is to take the study that we've completed for the meeting tonight and really turn that into a full feasibility study where we begin to look at, and I brought an example from another project that we've done, because we do a lot of these, and Phil does a lot of these as well. Really take that and kind of, we're kind of up here with a broad brush spectrum of what the needs of the project are. Once we get a better handle on what the budget available is, then we can really start to drill down. And you can, because we've got a lot of different programming options laid out in this. We need to figure out, okay, how much of the existing facility is going to be renovated and how much is going to be new build, new construction, but at the same time, also take a look at that entire site and kind of do somewhat of a master plan for what the ultimate use of that facility has been. I think it's fantastic that site has been there since the 1930s. Mm-hmm. And then, and it's been reinvested in the 90s. Now we're going to take it to another level. So it's really taking that next stage, and then we move into schematic design development, construction document, kind of the traditional design aspects of it. Mm-hmm. And I would say, from a schedule standpoint, it's probably going to be your next question. Mm-hmm. I think it's very reasonable where we stand here on May 9th to have be able to start construction second quarter of next year, and that would fall in line really well with the school district dollars and the timing on when those need to be spent, with a little bit of buffer room built in there as well. So I really think that, and it's going to take that much time to really build the community support, to build the community consensus around what this project is. Today we're just answering, is it feasible? Mm-hmm. Now we need to kind of take it to the next level and define what it is. And that's what it's going to take. Because we've got a lot of different stakeholders in this, mm-hmm. between the city and the school district. And you guys are going to bring in additional partners. There's going to be a lot to this.
Right. Okay. I have one other question. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. This is for Mr. Hightower. You mentioned state dollars. Could you just give a little more detail about that? And while we do have a workable budget at this point, you mentioned the $1 million. Was there any commitment around those dollars in terms of a timeline, just recognizing where we're at and how we need to move forward with the project?
So that request was put in as part of an ARPA. The state has an ARPA budget as well. $1 million was put in by State Representative Thomas Hall, mm-hmm. To that. They are going back into session. Their timeline is 30, 45 days to make a decision on that.
Okay. Is that from today or?
Got you. I heard 30 days today. So. It's always 30 to 45.
And one last question, and this again another kind of funding question, just putting together a budget. The county, do we have any understanding of when they may come forward, or do we just wait?
I'd like to jump in and make a recommendation as two board members sit on the committee to take back to the joint committee. I think it is important for us to understand in October when we stood before the commissioners, we had a concept that we sales pitched and requested $6 million. And Mr. Moore, if you are on board, I'd like to ask you that question in just a second, but we've got full consensus from the board to move forward. You've got full consensus from our city council. My recommendation would be that that we take a large group. I'd love to see everybody hop on a bus. Let's drive down to Butler County County Commissioner's office in Hamilton, Ohio, right down the street. Let's make sure we wear purple on the way there, though. And my recommendation, and again, I'm not a voting member of the committee, but we need to share with them that this is no longer a concept, that this is an exciting reality, that we are asking for their support and investing in the same project, and really inspire them to scale the possibilities of this project and do that live as part of their county commissioners meeting, and see what kind of conversation that yields and build some confidence in them. And not only do we have consensus amongst the Board of Education, just to keep saying that for our commissioners who are watching, but to share with them that the opportunity for them to partner with us is real, and as one of the commissioners requested in the article, to make sure that circumstances have not changed in any way, shape, or form in regards to a lack of progress. I think a separator for this project right now is that we have a real project that is very near being shovel-ready, and an investment from our commissioners will allow us to upscale into some of those additional options. So I think that's a next step that I think is absolutely critical. I believe they have their county commissioner meetings on Mondays or Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m. I've already looked this up. But I recommend that, then Mr. Moore, if you are on board with this, that gives us consensus from the board that we activate ourselves collectively as a community, and really rally the troops to go down and just passionately try to inspire them, just like you did tonight. Inspire them to jump on board with us and be part of this amazing project.
Are you asking me?
I'm
right
stuck,
now?
and I'm stuck with you.
Well, I mean, here's the reality of where we're at. I mean, we've gotten into a process now where the city has submitted funds. I mean, for the community, the background here is the grant has been submitted. I think there is already commitment, at least in part, from the county. You have 3 intergovernmental bodies working together. We're in this room. I mean, the only thing I think that's lacking at this point is really having a workable budget, what we really know we're going to be working with. The commitment, I think, is pretty strong among the board members. I'm certainly not in opposition to the project. I mean, having the feasibility study, it brings together many of those loose ends that we had 3-4 months ago, and we're at this point now where I think having those dollars and where we're at, we certainly wouldn't want to forfeit a project going this far in. So if you're asking for my commitment would be yes.
Yeah, I want to mention too, like, you know, we really need to keep the projects moving forward, and something that was essential to the committee was to make sure that we have community feedback and, you know, and that we are talking to the most vulnerable populations and those people who are going to be using, that we want to use the community center, as well as our business leaders that we want to have a role in, you know, as tenants and as partners on the center, and the staff from the school district, because, you know, we want this seamless partnership, you know, where we all know how to utilize it, and we're all really able to fill the space and engage as many people as possible. So this is a community center for the entire community. And so if, you know, I would like to recommend when we meet back with the committee that we start that process as well, just to keep things moving so we have more tangible information for the next step in the plan.
I agree.
I just want to congratulate the board for believing in our youth. Congratulate the board for really investing in the community. Thank you. And to all the folks out in the audience today, I can look at Verlina. I know when I first met you, you talked about how you believed in the center. You took time to just celebrate the history and the impact it's had on the community. I'm looking at Marie Edwards, who throws her whole entire heart and soul into the youth of this community. Just a lot of celebrations in the audience tonight. Thank you for coming out tonight to really inspire the conversation. But again, to the board, partnering with the city to really invest in our youth. I don't get emotional often, but I'm emotional today just thinking about the opportunities that'll be brought before our students. And Stephen Hightower, I can't thank you enough for just your relentless leadership and pushing this through. I just can't thank you enough. So I'm looking forward to continue to work alongside of you, Mr. Bertram is as well. I'm just excited about next steps. I'm just awfully proud about the options we have in this feasibility study. We have something we can stand proud of to really make a difference in our community. So really appreciate the board and just want to give you a huge kudos tonight for really working through a tough decision, processing some high-level information, but also taking advantage of some federal funds that came to us to really invest in our youth and making a lot of, and this is just one decision you've made, but a lot of right decisions, as we've heard tonight, make sense decisions for our youth each step of the way. So congratulations, and just want to share I'm proud of you as well.
Thank you. Just one comment. I see the Sunny Hill family in the audience today. I believe, is Mrs. Hill behind this time? Just want to acknowledge, I mean, on behalf of your family, we're excited to be a part of a project that his legacy will be able to continue onward for. And so that's a big piece. And it represents a nice story in Middletown that's only beginning. And then we hope to be a part of the next chapter with that. So thank you for coming. I saw you last week and you skipped out too quick. I wanted to say hi and thank you for being here. And so before you could skip out, I wanted to say something tonight. Any other discussion needed? Put that to bed for now? Celebrate. All right. And so thank you. Thank you. All right, that takes us to Board of Education reports. Ms. Novak?
I don't have anything to report this evening.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, anything to report this evening?
Not tonight, no.
No,
Nothing?
Nothing.
No.
I'll kill the trend. I just want to congratulate our high school seniors and juniors, anyone who attended prom. I heard it was a great event. Everyone was safe. I drove by it's not the Senior Citizen Center. What is it? Central Connections. I know, man, on the, and I've heard it was a really well done event, and was thrilled that everybody made it to and home safely.
I'd just like to say, I too, Marlon, am very emotional over this when we brought this idea to the table 12 months ago. Didn't know if it'd come to fruition or not, but seeing all that hard work come together and ideas and plans, and I know they're just beginning, it is really exciting, and I'm happy for our youth. It's tremendous what we're doing here. So.
Thank you.
I just want to say that graduation is quickly approaching. We're down to 7 days left in the remainder of the school year. On behalf of the Board of Education, just want to wish all of our staff, our students, and our families an enjoyable, relaxing, peaceful, non-stressful, since Ms. Phillips is in the audience, non-stressful, just been an enjoyable summer. It's been a fantastic school year. We've had a lot to celebrate. We worked through an awful lot together, and we've made it. So enjoy your summer. We look forward to seeing everyone back here sometime down the road, whenever that may be in August when school starts. But right now, enjoy your summertime.
Thank you. This time, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign.
Have a good evening.